There are some new people here today, so I think most people know what's being suggested here, but just as a quickie to be clear about that, basically this is about energy. It simply is about energy, boundless energy. Boundless energy, also what arises is contracted energy. So when a child is born, a human child is born, like any animal, it is just boundless. There's no sense of identity or any limitation. After a while, contracted energy seems to arise in the body. It appears to arise. Everything is only an appearance. There's nothing that's real. But it appears to arise in the body. And the child suddenly, being a boundless energy, suddenly feels that there's something in the body that arises. Suddenly there's a something. There never was for the child anything that was a something, but suddenly there is a something. And that energy that arises creates, or out of that energy, the response to it is a sort of self-consciousness, self-awareness. There's suddenly a self. There's suddenly something in there. And this brings a sense of individuality. Self-consciousness, self-awareness create individuality, separation. They feed that energy. And so the child takes on an identity, and as it grows, it meets other people that have lived like that. And it moves into an I am dream. It moves into an I am dream, in which it feels it is real. I am real. I am a real person. This is a real world. I live in a real story. And I have free will and choice. That's real. And that choice can influence what is happening in my life and in my story. And so it grows up and sees reality in that way. Most people see reality in that way. It's a way that is naturally, is considered to be normal, dualistic. It's the dualistic way. Most of the individuals in the world live in dualism. And so what that brings is a sense of separation. It brings a sense that I am a subject and everything else is an object out there which is coming to me and I'm experiencing. That sense of separation brings a dissatisfaction. Most people wouldn't necessarily acknowledge that, but that's what they have, a sense of dissatisfaction. There's something in their life that seems to be missing. They don't necessarily recognize that, but what they do in their life, what you see people do in their dualistic reality, is to try and look for experiences which please them. They're always looking for something that will feed their sense of importance or whatever you like. And people go on in that way. Some people want to look more deeply at why they feel dissatisfied, and so they might turn to religion or psychotherapy or whatever, in order to find out why they feel dissatisfied and do something about it. But the great problem with all of that is that the dualistic individual lives in a subject-object reality. That's how it experiences that, subject-object. Or the object is whatever is out there, something out there that it wants. So when it starts looking at the idea of transforming a feeling of dissatisfaction, it objectifies what it's looking for. So that it might objectify the idea of awakening, enlightenment, the kingdom of heaven, nirvana, whatever you like, peace, self-satisfaction, whatever. But it objectifies that aim, that goal. And that's the dilemma. The dilemma for the dualistic individual is that they live in that dilemma. And that dilemma of seeking something that they will never find because they presume they've lost it. That whole activity is utterly and wonderfully and effectively, completely and utterly useless. It's utterly futile. But we see the world, what we see in the world are people trying to bring what they can to themselves, including those things, in order to feel better about themselves, although underneath all of that is a dissatisfaction. But we can talk together, so we'll be talking together today. We won't be doing that, but that's what will seem to be happening. But the whole of that discussion and exchange that's going on is a vehicle for something energetic that can't be spoken of. But it can be sensed. And it's like, energetically, what seems to be happening is that the seeker has intention. So the seeker will be asking questions with an intention of finding something that can be objectified and owned, an answer. But here in this situation, the seeker will ask a question, but it will ask a question to that which is not. So what will happen with the question is that the response will come out of nothing. It doesn't come out of anybody. The response doesn't come out of any knowledge at all, or anything that's personal, because there is no person here. It just comes out of no thing. It's an illumination. So this question which has intention meets an illumination, and somehow the energy of that intention falls into that void. And that can be sensed in the room. And that brings in an energy which is palpable. A resonance can arise out of that sort of energy. So that's what's going on here, apparently. This is the beloved. There is only the beloved. This is what is. Everything that's happening in this room right now is simply nothing apparently happening. All there is nothing apparently happening. So there may be, for the individual experience, I am sitting on a seat. I, one, am sitting on a seat two. I'm aware of one sitting on a seat two. This is dualism. There's a separation between who's there sitting on a seat, I am, and the seat, and the sitting on the seat. There's a separation between those two energies. In reality, in the natural reality, which is simple and ordinary, there is just sitting on the seat. And that's the difference between those two is immeasurable. So basically we're looking for something that already is. The seeker is looking for something that already is. Movement, sound, whatever is apparently happening here. It's just happening. It doesn't need you. It doesn't have you. But the idea that there is a you there is also the beloved arising as the idea that there is an individual. So there is nothing that's apart. There aren't any enemies out there. There aren't any enemies at all. Everything is unconditional love. You can say something.
I'm not sure. Oh, right, it's working now. It's just an absolute relief sitting in these meetings.
It's a relief.
Absolute relief.
Right, okay.
And it struck me this morning, just the freedom, that there's no demands or expectations here.
No, of course not. There's no expectation. How can there be? There's nothing happening, so there can't be an expectation.
And I think as well, because of the me lives in a, well, I don't know how every me functions, but probably more or less the same. For me, it's very intense, this constantly putting expectations and demands on myself of how I have to be perfect.
Wow.
Yeah.
Join the queue. Yeah.
And the thing is, it just struck me this morning when I was getting ready to come here, just how that's not even recognised that there's anything that should be a certain way.
And the other amazing idea that individuals have is that they think they can influence what's happening, but they also think that what's happening is real. That's a dilemma. I am real, so what's happening is real. There must be something real that I can do about what's happening and what I feel about that. Whereas everything is only an appearance. There is nothing that is real. Everything is simply an appearance of nothing.
That actually frightens me a bit to hear that nothing's real. And I know I always refer to glimpses, but that's the only reference I can have to what you're saying.
Quite cool.
If I look back to a glimpse that happened maybe like a week ago or something, yeah, my memory of there was nothing real, but it's scary now. I feel like a me again to hear, because it threatens. What does it threaten for the individual?
So it threatens their control. The individual is very sweet, but the individual really actually believes it's in control, or at least it's got a hold on everything that's happening, because it believes that everything that's out there is happening to it as a subject, and in some way or other, in knowing what's happening, it knows how to deal with what's happening. If there's no me and what's happening is only an appearance, it's lost. It's completely lost. It feels lost.
It is incredible to the me when it comes back how things get done without it as well. Because
everything that is apparently happening, and if you want to say that there's a past, although there isn't, in the appearance, everything that's happened has got nothing at all to do with individuality. This has got nothing, and this message has nothing to do with individuality. There's nothing here for anyone. And there's no one here that's ever done anything. There is no one here, so there's no one here that's ever done anything. There's no Hitler, there's no Stalin, there's no Putin, there's no Ukraine. It's simply an appearance. It is simply nothing appearing.
And would you say also, because there's nothing happening, there's no problem in what seems to be happening?
Because of course, what's apparently happening is completely without meaning or purpose. So why would there be a problem? This is something called freedom. Freedom?
The problem is for me, its whole world is about there's got to be a problem, and when I fix it, then I'll feel it's all complete.
Then you can solve that, and then you'll be alright for 5 minutes.
It'd be good if it was that long. But the me's constantly on the hunt for what's the problem, like a detective with a magnifying glass.
It's constant seeking.
Thanks, Tony.
And if there isn't a problem, it comes up with one because it needs it to feed itself.
Yeah, it lives on problems.
Yeah.
But I can't not ask it. It sounds stupid to even think it. Why do you never compromise with the seeker at all?
No, there isn't anyone here. You're not talking to anyone who would or wouldn't compromise anything. You're talking to nothing. And nothing doesn't need to compromise or not compromise. Nothing is just a response. This is a response. You're speaking to nothing, and nothing is responding. And describing the reality and responding to the question. But it has no agenda. Obviously it has no agenda because it is nothing and everything already.
I think the biggest shock for me of this message is it never compromises. Because I said to you in London, I'm hoping at one point you'll say it's all been a joke, there is a person and blah, blah, blah. And I'm really hoping at some point I'll get a compromise.
Oh, right, okay.
Yesterday you told that the child, if it gets surrounded if the child is surrounded by other people who have a feeling of to be an individual.
Now, wait a minute, say that again a bit more slowly.
Yesterday you told that the little child is surrounded by child is surrounded by other people who also believe to be an individual, and then the individual feeling of the child gets stronger because everybody telling the same. So could it be other way around?
There is another way around. That's what seems to apparently happen. However, it's quite possible there are people, apparent people, who are apparently born who never become separate. Apparently, I've never met one, but anything is possible. But invariably, the child takes on or feels this energy and then senses or has a sense of I am real. This is individuality. Invariably, people take on the mantle of individuality and live in it and believe it's real and believe they are surrounded by lots of other real individuals and they live in the real story or in the real world. That's invariably how most people live and experience their life.
So if it would be...
when you say it's an alternative, people experiencing individuality as I've just described with all of that is simply nothing appearing in that form. It's not as though it's a different world. It is nothing appearing in the form of an individual who experiences separation. It's what's happening, but it's completely without any meaning or purpose. It has no meaning or purpose. So who cares? So what?
What? If it would be the other way around, like if it's just...
What do you mean by the other way around?
Like it's just surrounded by people like you who don't have a feeling of an I.
But I'm not a people.
Okay.
There isn't anyone here.
Okay, I give up.
What you're saying really is colossal. No, really is, because sitting here in this room, there's nothing and everything okay, but me, let's just say I sit here, or used to sit here, whatever, thinking like, well, yes, we're sitting in this room and this is something separate, but there really is a real world out there that I have to go back to and function in, and then it's important and events are happening and things are happening, and you're saying not. Yeah, that's tremendous.
In a way it's tremendous, in another way it doesn't matter at all. It doesn't matter if you all walk out right now and never come back again. It's what's happening. That's what's happening. So there's nothing colossal about this in a sense. It simply is what it is. And the sudden end of the illusion of separation is not at all colossal in that way. It's actually very ordinary and simple. It's about something very ordinary and simple, and at the moment that there is no longer any sense of separation, it's realised it never was. It's a dream.
Well, I want it to be colossal because I think I'm important.
Yeah.
Tony,
Do you need a mic?
I don't know, do I? Okay, thank you. Tony, can you hear me?
No, the mic's not on.
Now?
No, the other way.
Up?
Yes.
Okay. If there's a desire to change circumstances, because I'm not happy about circumstances, can circumstances be changed?
No, there isn't. There is no one. So the desire to change circumstances is an illusion. It comes from the illusion that I am real and the circumstances are real, and I can bring about a change in them, or that if I wait long enough, they will change. That's all a story, which is utterly and completely meaningless. So the whole basis of what you're asking is about futility. There's nothing that needs to change. Everything is already the beloved. It's only in the dream of being a real person in a real story that the idea of changing that story arises. And it arises out of an illusion. The great illusion, I am real and the story is real and I can change it.
Yeah, but what you're saying is so frustrating.
Sorry?
It is frustrating. Frustrating.
It's more than that. Some people, it drives a lot of people mad. I mean, the world we're in at the moment, what's happening in the world at the moment, people won't recognise this at all, but people are recognising, are incredibly frustrated and angry that they can't find what they really long for, which is their own absence, which is the liberation, the freedom of not being an individual. But people don't recognise that, but what you're watching at the moment in the world is an expression of that anger.
Tony, do you say, because some speakers say, whatever I'm looking for is already here? Is that also something you're saying?
You could say that. What you long for already is. But your problem is that you objectify what you're longing for, as I've already said. You can't objectify nothing and everything. To objectify, you remain separate. All seeking is the most effective way of feeding separation.
But if I were in a burning house, let's say my house is burning,
So if you were
I would get out, wouldn't I?
Probably. But it wouldn't be you that was doing that. You wouldn't be getting out. Getting out would probably happen.
Or not?
Nobody's sitting here. Nobody is sitting on a seat, but sitting on a seat is apparently happening. You don't have to be dramatic about this, it's about something very simple. We don't have to have burning houses.
some me's like drama.
Well, the individual, Jerry's quite right. The individual thinks they are special. Therefore, when they come to something like this, they're always looking for a special way or a special answer, or making the world and everything very special. It's got to be dramatic because it's about me, and I'm important. All the time there is an individual, they feel they are important.
But there is nothing to be done. If
There's
drama
no
comes,
one. There is no one. How can there be anything to be done?
So
Well, this is already the beloved.
if drama happening.
Sorry?
If the drama is happening, it's happening.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what?
It's wrong.
Don't set the house on fire.
Yeah, in the open secret, there's a line. Sorry, if I
In the open secret, there's a line.
there's a line. Line. So, I don't know. Like that, okay. It seems to me that in the open secret, there's a line that goes more or less like, if I remember exactly. If you're looking for pleasure, for example, to escape suffering, you are cutting the route to, or the possibility to something. So it seems that something to do or not to do in a sense. Can you?
Well, that's based on obviously that you only apparently can do anything because there is only apparent you there, and your apparent choice to cut the roots of suffering or to overcome suffering or to dull it down in some way is what can apparently happen, but you're not doing it. It's what's apparently happening.
Yeah, but there's nothing wrong in doing it in any.
There isn't anything right or wrong at all. There's nothing that's right or wrong. All there is what is apparently happening. It's only in the dualistic world that there's right and wrong. Obviously the dualistic world is split into two.
So there is no morality.
No, only in the dualistic world.
Okay.
In the dualistic world there is morality and there isn't.
So if I kill him, it's just happening.
It's what's happening, of
Yeah.
course.
Just like prison. Just like prison, it also just happened afterwards.
Okay.
Won't be easy.
It really amazes me how the me does survive this message.
But it doesn't because it isn't. So it doesn't survive because it isn't.
Well, I want to say that doesn't make sense, but I know you don't claim it, this message. Because the thing is, some people are coming to these meetings.
Sorry?
Some people are coming to these meetings feeling like a me, and then the illusion seems to collapse. And other people keep coming and keep feeling like a me.
Well, they apparently do.
And it amazes me that that energy can continue of feeling separate.
Oh, it doesn't, no, I mean, being me is fascinating. Me is fascinated by the idea of finding what it's looking for. It's a fascinating task. You know, look at everybody you know and everybody in the world. They're fascinated by the idea of getting what they want. But that's an energy that's arising. There isn't anybody that's doing it. There's no me that's actually doing that. It's just a no thing in the form of a me, an apparent me, a separate me, that's fascinated by the idea of finding self-satisfaction.
So it's almost a bit like I know you say there's no one in the me, but it's almost like a hypnosis.
Oh, it's hypnotic, yeah. You bet. Oh, yeah.
Like,
When I was Tony Parsons, I was hypnotised by the idea of getting what I wanted. And to some extent, I did get what I wanted. I was very rich. I had a Ferrari, an ocean-going yacht, a flat in Minorca, you know, everything like that. And I thought I wanted those things, you know, and they would bring me satisfaction. Do I have to say any more?
I'm thinking, why did you give it up? It sounds great.
But I didn't give it up. It gave me up, or
Life gave you
it was
up.
the end of it.
Maybe you're in the wrong course.
So Tony, when we say it's like a hypnotic dream, it's kind of like, even though there could be all this suffering and pain that comes out of feeling separate, there's also this sweetness that the me enjoys to this fantasies it has and what it's gonna, and what it, you know,
It's driven by its need to have better experience.
Yeah.
Apparently, but only apparently.
Tony? Yeah. So it feels like I have all the answers intellectually, that I have no free will, no.
You have nothing at all, but feelings arise.
Yeah, so I have no free will, no choice. If suffering happens, let's say tomorrow or day after tomorrow, I will be doing something and all that. If suffering happens, it happens. If anything bad thing happens, it happens, because life is doing it all.
Yeah,
there is no free will and no
apparently-
choice here.
Yeah, it apparently is. But if you apparently take action to solve a problem or whatever tomorrow afternoon, you will believe that you're doing it. And it's real, and there could be a result that would be of advantage to you. That would be your belief. It's complete and utter illusion.
But why, if me knows all that, if me have...
Knowing that doesn't mean anything. You can still, I know lots of people who know they aren't, that the real, the me they think is real, is not real. They know that, but that's just a concept.
Yeah.
It's a belief. My me isn't real, and I don't actually take action at all. But it's simply a belief. It's not energetic in that sense.
So, what is this? This confuses me. Like, me knows everything about, like, by listening to you or some other speakers, that there is nothing me can do about this dropping off this contracted energy and all that, but still it wants something. So why you are saying it that it wants the satisfaction, but yeah, it's
What's the problem with that?
it's a dead end for me. Like,
Sorry?
it's a dead end for that me to.
Say that a bit again.
It's a dead end for him.
Oh, of course. Well, I did say at the beginning, the whole activity. The dilemma for me is that the whole of its activity to find satisfaction is utterly and completely futile. It's hopeless. It's utterly, wonderfully, divinely hopeless. He won't, the individual will never get anywhere because there isn't anywhere to go. What he longs for already is. So where would he go to find a better is? Can I find a better is out? I'm not getting at you, there's no you to get at.
What's striking me is really the finality of this message.
Yeah.
Because, I've been coming for a long time, and even though I understood and I had clarity, fairly quickly about what you were saying, but I still thought, and somehow subconsciously I thought that this would, I'm literally am going, like I'm traveling, I'm going to meeting, and then something is going to happen that is going to add to my life.
Yeah. Same thing, really.
Yeah.
It's the same thing as being unclear or clear. Still, for the individual, something's going to happen. Something's going to happen one day. And it never does because there's anything that needs to happen. The whole way to avoid this is to make it into something that's going to happen. This is going to happen.
Well, or even the fact that there is anything at all.
Mm.
That there isn't anything.
No.
You're saying there's nothing happening.
Mm.
Okay.
Good.
Yes. Okay. Tony, is there anybody out there who has ever been enlightened?
Oh, of course not.
No.
Sweet. I mean, as I said at the beginning, no, how can anybody be enlightened if there isn't anybody?
Okay.
But in the religious world or in the spiritual world or whatever, if you look at all of those people on this Gadara, they are speaking to someone.
Mm-hmm.
They are speaking to a person, suggesting that if they follow a certain path, they will get enlightenment or whatever you like. It's a complete fallacy. The whole thing. But they believe that. They sincerely, this Gadara and those sort of people obviously believed in what they were saying. I'm not saying that at all. Most of them believed it anyway. But it comes out because they live in that. They live in that world, in that split world where there is me and you, and there's me and enlightenment, and in some way or other they obviously believe that they become enlightened. And then because they become famous and they wear loincloths and look incredibly holy, everybody else believes they must be enlightened, these guys. So if they're enlightened, I can become enlightened. And so, yeah.
Yeah, but sometimes some of these non-duality speakers, some of them.
You have to be careful. There are very, very few people
I know.
who speak in this uncompromising way, hardly any.
Yeah.
There's dozens of people who talk about non-duality, and what they talk about is total, pure dualism.
No, I don't listen to those guys. I just listen to the good ones. But they, if I may say so, they seem to have something that I don't have yet.
Right. That's what you're meant to believe.
Mm. At least sometimes it feels like they don't have these thoughts coming up.
The what?
The thoughts.
Right. I mean, you can go on talking about this for a little while, about 3 minutes, and then I get really bored. So shall we? Who cares? It's another charade. It's like in Nisargadatta. There's dozens of Nisargadatas out there all speaking about this in the way they do, and it's pure dualism. So why bother? It's very easily recognisable. I watch YouTube quite a lot. Well, I don't, but that's what apparently happens. and or get books sent to me. But on YouTube, there's somebody new may arise with some sort of title, and I put it on, and maybe for a minute it stays on, and then it's switched off again, because it's very apparent almost right away. These people give themselves away. But they are teaching you something. They are teachers of becoming. And sometimes I don't bother to turn it on because the title alone tells you.
Yuji Krishnamurti, also teacher.
Yuji was somebody who talked in this way at times. And for me, there was something split there. Because although he talked in this way sometimes, a lot of other things he talked about were dualism.
And Karl Renz.
I don't understand what Carl Renz is talking about. It's also complex and all over the place, and I've no idea.
Some jokes in the middle.
Jokes are nice, I like jokes. I used to tell jokes, but I don't. This is a joke anyway, this whole thing. It's the cosmic joke. That we're all sitting in here talking about something that already is. Mike over there.
Maybe it might be enough now. Okay. Oh.
Hiya.
Hi. Is bliss normal?
Is
Bliss.
bliss? No, bliss is just a fantasy. It's a fairy story. It's an experience that individuals have. It's dualism.
Is there a microphone?
Tony, when we were in London, at the end of the first day, we were walking to a pub, and I said to the people that I was walking to the pub with, it's awful being so in love with something that you know you can't have.
Yeah, I mean, people recognise this.
And that, yeah.
But they recognise this and they can't have it.
That's how I feel today. Like, I'm so in love with whatever the resonance in the room, and I can't get it.
Mind you, it's possible that you might be in love with your idea of what it's like.
Okay.
No, I'm just suggesting that. There might be an idea there of what this is like, but this is hope. It's utterly futile to try and imagine what this is like. It can't be described. It's not. And when I say that, there isn't. It's not a state. It's not something. It's not a something. It is that all there is is nothing. That can't be described. So it may be that your sense of what it is may not be what it is. Because if you have a sense of what it is, then that's not it. I'm only suggesting that.
I don't have a clue what it is, but there's just some kind of, I don't know, like maybe feeling in pain or something that I can't.
Maybe what?
Just feeling in pain that I can't have what you're talking about. Yeah.
So is there any state that you can experience in ordinary life?
Sorry, say that again.
Is it on? Yeah, okay. Is there any state we experience in ordinary apparent life at all comparable?
No.
Like never, in any possible way.
How about being in love?
Well, being in love, falling in love, gets near to this in some ways. There's a sense of this in that. It's a primal, deep felt energy, which for the one that's fallen in love can be recognized. It can be the end of the one that's fallen in love. It's the same thing. This is about the end of you. And the sense of falling in love can have a similar taste to it as a...
What do you mean with falling in love with a person?
Have you ever fallen in? Yeah, I'm talking about the ordinary, everyday, well, not about every day, but the ordinary, everyday energy of falling in love with someone. In the story, it says in the apparent story, it can happen. Doesn't matter. It's not real, of course, nothing is. But falling in love, the energy of falling in love, has a very similar flavour to this. Very similar.
How do you define love here? Like how do you define love here?
Oh no, this is a different subject really. Unconditional love is not anything anybody can ever know. It is the same. The beloved, the everything is unconditional love. The nothing and the everything is unconditional love. But the individual lives in need love. The individual, when it grows up, is in need. So it's the love it needs with somebody else or whatever is a self-feeding love. It's a need. It satisfies a need. I'll love you if you love me. That's not unconditional. But there's something else that can happen which I call falling in love. Maybe that's not a very good expression. But it's somehow a sense of meeting an energy which you could fall into. Not anything to do with anyone. Have you ever fallen in love? No.
No.
Oh.
So is it like you said, I love you when you love me, but you're talking about I love you no matter what. So like I even love you if you love another person, I just want you to be happy.
You're starting to become analytical about something that can't be analysed. This isn't about anything that you've just mentioned.
Okay.
That's already conditional, really. Falling in love isn't conditional. Falling in love is, oh.
Do people who live in this understanding have better relationships?
No, not at all. No. No, wait a minute. Oh, well, I'm not really clear about what you're People who live in this understanding. This is not an understanding.
No.
What you're talking about is if there is no one,
Yeah.
then what?
Okay. Do those who are no one have better relationships?
No, they don't have better anything. No, come on. Oh dear. This is not about somebody who then becomes nobody and then has better experiences or has better or has this or has that. This is the end of anyone. This is the end. There isn't anyone. All there is nothing. So better relationships or whatever simply don't even get off the ground anymore because there isn't anybody there that can have better relationships or better this or better that. There isn't anybody. There's nobody here. There's nothing that's better or worse here. All there is nothing and everything. It's indescribable.
If there's nothing and everything, I should be more accepting
No.
in a marriage. No. Okay.
If there's nothing in everything, why would there be something that was more accepting or less accepting? You're talking about an individual who's separate, who would be more or less accepting, apparently. This has got nothing to do with anything like that. This whole message has nothing to do with you at all. You'll never get this because there isn't anybody to get it. It's absolutely beyond the idea of there being anyone in this room.
Okay, Tony.
This message is absolutely without any value of any kind. Of no value. It's useless. It's completely useless garbage. This message.
And still, Tony, it's a miracle that you're here, and it is still a miracle for me that you're here, and that.
Oh, but I'm not here. I'm not here, so your miracle is over. Thank you.
I have a funny idea. Words are so trapping or misunderstanding.
But can be.
Can be. Mostly for most is. Why not?
Oh no.
You talk gibberish and we talk gibberish.
But that's another game you're playing. So we'll do this now, and it'd be better than what's happening at the moment. And I'm not talking. Talking's happening. You're not asking a question. Asking a question is happening.
Okay.
So the idea that I talk Swahili and you talk Mongolia, it's just not.
Would be another game.
Well, yeah.
There has to be a way. There must be a way.
Yeah.
But to make it easier.
So it's not acceptable for the I that it doesn't exist. It will always come up with a but I'm here. I have the feeling I'm here. There must be something. But it's absolutely not acceptable. So my brain is turning around and around.
Absolutely. The me hates this message. Hates it. And looks for some alternative.
Maybe you are wrong and I exist.
Could be.
What if the me doesn't hate this message, but is like totally in love with it? Is that some sort of a trick?
I think people could fall in love with what's going on about it. Like in this room, you listen to this, it's so radical, it's so uncompromising that there can be a sort of fascination with it. I think there is. But, so what?
Well, I think the core, speaking from my own experience, I absolutely love it, but there's something that is absolutely horrendous for it. At the end of its own existence. It's terrible.
Jim Newman, we were doing a retreat thousands of years ago in France, and I was talking to these people, and I did what I do at the beginning with this description and so on. And obviously Jim Newman immediately understood it, and he stood up and said, "Tony, this is terrifying." Because somewhere he only understood it, of course, but he could see where it was leading to, the end of him, his own absence. Yeah, it's terrifying.
Yeah, absolutely. I have an anxiety attack every time I come.
Yeah.
No, I'm joking.
Now Jim calls you and says, "Tony, this is amazing."
What?
Who?
Now Jim calls you and says, "Tony, this is amazing."
It really is amazing because no matter how many times it comes, and how many times it hears, I just want to maybe talk about me. But I don't know how many times there, in somewhere subconsciously, somewhere along the line, it still thinks there's something in it for
But the me has to do that.
Yeah.
Because the me is a complete ogre. It's a monster. It can only associate what's happening with its own satisfaction,
Absolutely.
regardless of what's said. So this can't be heard. That's why I'm saying that we're talking like this, but there's something else going on, which doesn't need to be heard.
Tony, when you say something else is going on which doesn't need to be heard,
It can't be described.
it can't be
The
described.
only nearest you can get to it is to say energetically there's something going on. You could say energy. This now becomes a bit dangerous because people think, you could say energetically there's a sort of opening happening,
So,
or an apparent opening arising. Not
So-
happening.
does it happen when people like us gather in front of no one, like Tony Parsons, or it happens everywhere?
But it's everywhere. You can go now to the bus stop and it's there as well, of course. There is because the bus stop is the beloved.
So, but why do you point specifically on opening up of something? If it is happening everywhere, in every corner of the world, why are you pointing out like it's happening here right now for the opening up of something?
Because I'm also saying it's happening everywhere. But what I described in the beginning was that the seeker has an intentional energy. It has an intentional energy to find something. And it meets with a response that has no agenda or intention of any kind. So it falls into a sort of void.
Okay.
Where there's no hope or nothing available. And in that sense, in this concentrated sort of way, then the energy that can arise, the energy of openness seems to arise.
So it doesn't matter that you sitting there or me sitting in a pub or something like having a beer. It doesn't matter.
Nothing.
Okay.
Tony, do you still listen to the news?
No, but listening to news happens.
Do you get upset about the news?
No, because it's just what's happening. It's intriguing, it's interesting.
Do you feel threatened? No?
No, how could I feel threatened if there isn't anyone? There isn't anyone. They're just listening to the news and noticing where the news is happening and going.
What about, what would you do? Well, what would somebody call Tony?
No, you don't.
Okay. What would happen if the news would say there's going to be a tax increase of 50%?
A tax increase.
Tax increase, and you have to pay it.
Oh.
What would there be upset?
Well, working out how to avoid it would arise.
You would go to your house in Mallorca.
No, I don't have one anymore.
Oh, yeah.
That's all over.
this man in the corner, he just said that he's very frightened because maybe the feeling of a separate me is threatened. And I don't know why I'm asking it, but I don't know. Is that so a monster, as you say, or an ogre? You said it's a big ogre and like that. Or I feel I'm sitting here and I'm not frightened. I'm a bit nervous.
So that's what's happening there. What's happening there is happening there. What's happening there is happening there.
Yeah.
So what?
Yeah, I was comparing. Or
No, it's what's happening. It's meaningless. It's what's apparently happening.
Okay, thank you.
I'm not frightened right now either. I don't know though, she might went and got a gun. I don't know where she's is apparent movement, where actually all there is, everything is just completely still.
You could, it wouldn't get you anywhere, but yeah. Well, the energy is obviously moving forward, or apparently moving forward, because it's trying to find something.
It's exact. That's what I mean in that sense.
Yeah.
This is just
Whereas
what
when
is.
there isn't anyone, there isn't anything
Yeah.
that's moving in that way. It's moving.
And then energetically, it's not. It's sort of it doesn't know what to do with what is because it's always on the move. But it's like an apparent move. It feels like inside the body. It's like an apparent forward leaping, trying to get away from this in a sense.
Well, not necessarily, but it's trying to find something.
Yeah.
It's seeking.
So you would say that it's more of a seeking and it's not an avoiding. It's not an avoiding something.
As well. It's avoiding something as well. It's seeking and avoiding, yeah. All those. In order to survive. The biggest, in a way, the biggest energy for me is to survive. And so it's able to go on surviving through trying to seek, because it's an endless activity. It doesn't necessarily know that, although I think some intelligent people do know that, but invariably the me goes on being involved in an absolutely, completely futile action. Because in a way, it guarantees its own survival.
Tony, would you say the seeking energy never stops?
Well, it does stop. It doesn't stop because it never begins. There isn't anything happening.
But the me is always searching.
Well, it's only apparently searching. It isn't really. There's no boundless energy. There's no contracted energy. There's no me. There's no seeking. Nothing is happening at all.
So the seeking can be ignored. So
Ignored?
Ignored.
Well, I don't understand that. Who?
Yeah, who would?
I don't understand what you're talking about. Who would ignore it?
If there's seeking happening.
they're seeking apparently happiness, don't forget, it's only an appearance, it's not real.
Yes, you're right. If they're seeking apparently happening for a better circumstance, so that is futile, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But does this heaviness can be sensed for the person?
Happiness?
Heaviness of searching. Is it a sensible thing or?
I'm not sure what you're saying.
Is the
Oh, the
heaviness,
heaviness.
Well, it's only to the individual who is apparently experiencing it. The heaviness is like everything else, only an appearance. But for the individual, what I think is being said here by Joey is that creates a sort of weight, feeling of worth.
Yeah. So the person can sense this
can experience
this heaviness. Yeah. Mm.
And the hopelessness, maybe.
Okay. Because then I think, okay, if I feel this heaviness, then I try to get rid of that.
Oh yeah, well, that's hopeless. Yeah, that's futile. Because there is no you to get rid of anything.
Yeah.
And of course what you're doing to some extent is seeing the heaviness as real, because you believe you are real. Directly you are real, everything becomes real. And the idea that you can get rid of heaviness is also real.
That's what all spiritual practice is about.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Something for me.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
So I have this image right now in my head.
So yeah.
I have this image that apparently there is this room full of individuals who think they are real, having their own reality, feeling special. And then there's this message coming up that none of this is real and there's nothing to do with just sitting here and there's nothing to do with it. And so in me the question comes like, why don't you make it easier? Yeah, it's like, why?
Sweet.
You know, it's like.
But there is, don't forget, in the individual experience of hopelessness, there is a fascination with this.
Yes.
Because it doesn't offer them anything. The seeker is so used to being offered things, it can go to all sorts of teachings and people who are actually offering something, and then suddenly it comes across a message which is absolutely offers nothing at all of any kind, and is only really showing the hopelessness of the seeking energy. There's something fascinating about that.
At the same time, it's the most bizarre situation, you know.
There will be
the most bizarre situation to be sitting here thinking that I'm real, listening to that this is not happening at all.
Yeah, it is bizarre.
And it's like
go out in the street and tell everybody that they aren't real.
No matter how easy you made it, me wouldn't do it anyways. Okay, like she said, why don't you make it easier? So no matter how easy it is, me wouldn't.
And anyway, there isn't anything to make easy. There's nothing. There's nothing going on here. The idea that you make it easier implies that there's something you could do that could be easier. It's not. There isn't. It's the easiest thing in the world, actually, because there's nothing to do, and there is no one. You couldn't have anything easier than that. I was always told when I was young and going to school that I was very lazy. So I then decided to choose the laziest way to... That's a joke. I was always very attracted to a little book that was around called the lazy man's way to enlightenment. Have you ever come across that? Because that's total bullshit. And it's tea time.
Yay!